The cab is held vertically with truss rod. In fact, here's one right here that go from the top just under the roof all the way down and through the sills of the car. There are 10 of them, one at every end post, and then one in the middle of each side. So there's four here, four on the other end, and two in the middle. The top of the post, or the top of the truss rod rather, has a big square nut on it, which is set into the top of the frame, and then the roof was put on over that. Well, when we had to move the cab off of its deck, so to speak, we moved it in here, and we had to cut all the truss rods with a saber saw, steel sticking down through here. And we moved it over and set it down, and we set one of them on the sawhorse, and it had the effect, it was sticking down a little bit, it had the effect of pushing the roof up. And I was wondering why there was a big space there, so we've since moved the whatever was interfering, and the roof was then pulled down, so it's correct. Now you can see the end of the, I can't remember what that is. It isn't a tack molding because it isn't what you tack into, but anyway, the support for the edge of the roof. And you can see the mortise for when we put the new rib end, or new arch across the end. It will go in there, and there's another one on the other side. The other side is original, this one is new, and we'll saw it off when we get everything in place. The rib, the other thing that is interesting is notice the thickness of the roof. It's about 7/8 of an inch thick, which is thicker than most any other car. They're usually about ½ inch, 7/16 of an inch thick, quite thin. But for whatever reason, they thought that they had to make it very heavy. The other thing you notice is the boards are uneven in width. There's wide ones and narrow ones, and there's one real wide one which they put a groove, a decorative groove in the middle of several of them here. And they were just doing that to use the wood that they had. We found that also on the sides, that the materials are different widths. They took a board and put the tongue on one side and the groove on the other, whatever width the board was. If you were to go to a lumberyard today, everything would be all the same. Another thing you want to notice is the gouge right here in the end of the this fascia board, I guess you could call it. Something had dug that up, and they had nailed it back together, and I suppose we could have patched it so you didn't know it was there, but I thought it was an interesting piece of some traumatic piece of history. I don't know what happened, but something definitely gouged it and dug it all up. We removed many layers of paint here. We found some things that were a little interesting here. I'll talk about that in a minute.